So, first of all, we can put our hands here and ask for a release in the ankle joints as you go forward with your whole length and backwards. The hands like this on the heels, directing the heels away from the lower leg, from this part, directing the heel away from the calf. It means our hands are going like this. And another possibility is one hand in front of the ankle joint, one hand on the heel, and this will give a feeling of security and help to direct the heel downwards. The next, we can take the thumb above the knee and wrap the hand around the leg, and now give support as Master directs the heels down and the head away from the spine. You imagine like you are directing, as you hold the upper leg, you are directing up until the top of the head. So not only holding here, but in your mind, you are holding the whole structure until the top of the head. Finally, one hand in front of the hip joint, one hand in the lower back, thinking of length in front of the hip joint and directing the back towards the hand. We want a movement in the ankle joint, forward and backwards, and finally this movement leading to the wall. And we don't want to have this movement, a movement of the pelvis forward and backward, and we don't want to have a movement of the knee forward. The head releasing away from the spine and from the trunk. The trunk and the pelvis supported by the wall. And now a release in the back of the legs so that the knees come forward. And now you can notice the head went back. That means there is tension in the neck. So again to release. You can stay down there. Allow the head. You can very lightly put your hands, your fingers on top of Master's head. It will be easy for him to notice what's going on here. Stay. Now, what you can also do to help is to stand in front, like in making a step, and take your hands against the front of the hip joints. As he comes up and down, and you press a little bit this direction, and this will help the pelvis to release and will prevent a tension in the lower back. So we want that the pelvis should hang. You can think of the head and the pelvis going this way, away from each other. The legs, the knees are going forward, the pelvis stays back, the head is up, the pelvis is in opposite directions. So there are oppositions. You're looking for oppositions. The opposition of the head forward, the trunk back, the head up, the pelvis hanging, the knees going forward as the trunk and the pelvis stay back. And this opposition will help the muscles to release, to get more length during the movement. Allow the neck muscles to release the head, send the knees forward as the back stays back and pushing a little bit. Stop. Now comes the forward movement in the hip joints. Yes. And we can do something. If you can try this yourself, if you put a paper between the pelvis and the wall, if you come forward, the paper should move up a little bit. Yes. And this shows that we are releasing in the back. Can you come back? If you come forward again, yes, you can see the paper moves up a little bit. It means we created some lengthening in the back of the legs and then the lower back. Very lightly to touch the head. The head leads the spine and the movement happens in the ankle joint. Yes, it's a very slightly forward movement. And now coming out from this position by straightening the legs without tension in the lower back. What happens sometimes when we think of, for example, coming up to our toes, it can happen that we push the head back. So you please give feedback to master if this happens. We don't want this. This is a tension in the neck. And then you can very lightly put one hand on top of the back head, one hand on the back of the head, and just remind to release the head a little bit forward and up. Sometimes bending the leg, what happens is that we come down like this. It's a shortening in the front. That's why we push against the front of the hip joints, and we can also very lightly give a hand here, and then the pressure will be felt and it will be easier to release up. But very, very soft. This part, this hand should be very, very soft. The direction of the hand is like this. Very soft. So master will immediately feel when he presses against this hand. When we straighten the leg, it easily happens that the lower back tenses. That's why we do the exercise against the wall, but still, you should take care that the pelvis, when the legs are straightening, you help a little bit the pelvis to adjust, to hang. It means you take one hand in front, one in the back of the pelvis, and you make a little bit this movement. The front hand goes a bit up, the back hand goes a bit down to encourage the pelvis to hang. What needs to be observed when we encourage the pelvis to hang, that we don't go too far. Hanging does not mean to push the pelvis forward. pushing the pelvis forward will lead to a shortening in front. But we want hanging, lengthening in the back and lengthening in the front. How to help with the hamstring exercise? First point to help is to support the back. And master can lean back a little bit. Lean back, yes. And now, as he leans back, he is performing this movement. And we don't push, we just support. The next possibility to help is sitting here and helping with this movement. And sometimes we can again give the hand in the back, lean a little bit against this and help also at the same time. So you can lean back here, lean against my hand, lean back, yes, at the same time. Looking at these explanations, it will seem a bit long, but with practice, you will see that they don't take up too much time. And I wish you the best.